Enough of that. Enough of that. Get out of here. How's it going, everybody? Yeah, that was one of my many live audiomancy streams that I've been doing for Haunt Manual, and I thought it would be apropos to share that in the beginning because 10 months ago, right when Haunt Manual was beginning, when I had just put out the first chapter on Substack, I was on a podcast called The Last Unrifled Yaw. Uh, it was hosted by someone named Ali Words, who's a big technosis person in the kind of occultnic community. And that was our first meeting together. We had never met previously. And it came out today. So this was a podcast I had done 10 months ago, and it came out today. And I thought, what a perfect cosmic reach around about the hauntological kind of aspects of Haunt Manual. And I thought it would be funny and almost maybe a little bit self-flagellating, but to listen to that podcast. I haven't heard it yet. This is me 10 years ago as a baby haunt, and watch me cringe with it and maybe go over what has changed. I was talking a lot about these big intentions with Haunt Manual 10 months ago, and I think currently I am on I'm on many chapters since then, which is really funny because I think I just put out the first one. So why is it sharing that? Okay. Yeah. Oh, can everybody hear me? I haven't checked the chat yet. I'm a little rusty at this. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. But yeah, so here's Haunt Manual. So 10 months ago, I had released this little guy, Neither Either Or. Let's see when this was. Yeah, July 31st. I think I had just put it out. Yeah, 10 months ago now is when I started this project. And that's, yeah. And we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think, yeah, this is the 6th main chapter that I just released a week or so ago. So it's crazy. And in the spirit of like the hauntological prisms of what Haunt Manual is, which is really a document about my magical and artistic processes to help invoke or evoke, pathways that have been lost to me through the course of my life, or rebuilding synapses from creative projects that I had lost. Unexpectedly, it's been a very big trauma therapy, but that wasn't necessarily in my intention. At least I don't think. But uh, what is it being such a live and living document? This multimedia grimoire online, where monthly I would compose a chapter and I'd release it. And I've always, given the caveat that things are changing. It's kind of forming. It's living. It's evolving. So I'm a little bit interested to see what my bright-eyed and bushy-tailed intentions were 10 months ago when I did this podcast, and to compare and contrast it. So yeah, it'd be very interesting. But yeah, if you haven't already, please check out Haunt Manual. You can just go to hauntmanual.com. It'll take you straight to the Substack. I'm still posting on We the Hollowed and doing Prag Magic, the podcast. A new one I'll have out this week. I just haven't done anything on YouTube since our big Hauntquinox, which was, at the end of March. And yeah, thought it would be due time. But it sat with me all day that, I had just released the 6th chapter of this thing, and it's in this chapter I legitimately say to hell with nostalgiamancy, which was my kind of colloquial term for what I was experimenting with. And I've moved past nostalgiamancy. I've gotten more into kind of, the prospects of self and the like sentimentality of self and not needing to be burdened or overrun with a rose-colored memory of things. And through a lot of the audiomancy workings I was doing, and the like what you just saw, which are these hypercharged musical improvised performances that have a lot of intention down to like the instruments played and all of that, um, with a certain intention to each one. And yeah, it's funny that how much someone can change, how much a ghost can malform in 10 months. So we shall see what that sounds like. I'm going to check in with the chat here. It's been a while. Hey, Spooky, good to see you. Stevie boy. Maybe I'll play today. I spent many hours working on Seyroth the Mage and my project. We have a musical with a K music project called Dream Boys of the New Apocalypse. And I was mixing a song for quite a while today. So that should be coming out very soon. I guess that's a good lead way to also mention that, hey, We the Hollowed and the Green Mushroom Project, who's kind of head up by Lux Estrada of the Lux Occult podcast, and We the Hollowed are kind of conjoining forces, and we're going to be putting out a mixtape, a big digital mixtape, and you can submit. I'll bring up the. Yeah, let's do this. I am rusty, but yeah, I'll bring up the prompts for that. But you have until May 23rd to submit some audiomancy or some ritualized music to be included on this thing, and you should, because it's fun, and you like it, and we all like it. And so yeah, um, spoken like a true Fiverr payer, Mr. Stephen Fiverr Cambion. Nope. One of the prompts for this digital mixtape is that you have to do it yourself. So sorry, Steven. I hate to be the buster of your freshly clean balls, but what are you gonna do? Anyways, yeah. How is everybody? It's been a while. Who else is here? Jill. Yeah. Good stream tonight, Jill. Thank you for that. Jeremy, good to see you. Alchemical Arts. Hello. Hey, Pinzer. My flock. Thank you all for coming. I really wasn't expecting anybody to show up, and I get a lot of flack for my anarchic times of the month where I stream because there's not really any rhyme or reason. But yeah, here is let's see, that's the Honquinox. Do do do. But yeah, so here is the We the Hollowed and Green Mushroom Project digital mixtape. Let's do this. I'll blow this up here. Cool flyer. So yeah, submissions are coming out or going to be done around May 23rd. I'm also putting out another podcast this week, and I'll keep promoting it. But yeah, Green Mushroom Project is teaming up with We the Hollowed, the Occult and Art Media Magic Collective, to bring you Fuck Around and Find Out, 2 audio offerings of magical sovereignty from the Green Mushroom Project and We the Hollowed. So yeah, I'll put the link here in the chat. And anyone that dabbles in music and doesn't pay people on Fiverr are welcome to submit. Just kidding, Steven. I know you do stuff by yourself sometimes. If you do another mixtape, I will have some stuff in the future. Yeah, we this is not unlike the audio sigil we did last year, but that one was more of a kind of it was a hyper sigil, so it was all tethered together, it was mastered together, there was a bunch of sinew and constructed things from me and my end, and I did a video component to it, and that was very involved. This one is meant to be very much in the spirit of a mixtape, where it's gonna be you know uh, kind of a hodgepodge potpourri of cool stuff without too much obsession from me about tethering it all together. So um, yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes of it. And Stevie, yeah, I'll play our new song in a bit. Let me write that down so I don't forget. But yeah, um, so like I was saying, things have been good. I've been really on a pretty intense career track, which is funny. And I'll just paint a picture of where I was when this interview was made. So this interview with the last Unrifled Yaw was 10 months ago, and at that time, I think I was still teaching wilderness survival. I was chomping at the bit to find something that had more headroom financially. Um, you know, uh, I'm always consistently spread thin and doing a bunch of different projects, so I'm sure that was the same case then. But I do remember the morning of that interview, like the internet not working, and I felt it in my breath that wasn't nervous. I just wasn't in the right place. And I think that anybody that does any kind of broadcasting knows that those days happen. That you know all the best laid plans can go to waste, and that's that's just what it is. So my memory of this interview, having not heard it yet, is that I was in a weird way. Things around me were kind of crumbling at that time, and it was on the precipice of me finding Haunt Manual and doing Haunt Manual, and then yeah, and in 10 months, holy shit, how things have changed. But yeah, here I'm gonna go ahead and put that in timeout. Come on, behave yourself. Don't bring that crap into here, please. I've done so well keeping that stuff away. You are totally welcome to hang out. Just don't talk about that shit in my zone, please. That would be awesome. Thank you. Anyways, um, I'm going to remove this. Stop screen. So yeah, let's check it out. This is from Alley Words. I'm going to stop it every now and again and have some commentary. I don't think I can muster the entire episode because I'm going to visibly cringe hearing my own voice. So let's see where Keats was 10 months ago that was released today. Hi, yes, sure. My name. Oh, let me know if you can hear it in the chat.
Hi, I'm Ali Words, and this is Last Unrifled Yaw. Last Unrifled Yaw is a podcast where we have conversations about video art, experimental music, avant-garde literature, performance art, and the occult. If you or someone you know would like to be on Last Unrifled Yaw, please get in touch. Keats Ross is an interdisciplinary artist and musician writing a multimedia haunt manual about nostalgiamancy. Hey everyone, this is Ali Words, and today we have Keats Ross.
Okay, I got to say something there. Just in the beginning, it says, here, we're going to stop screen. It says that, you know, uh, Haunt Manual is about nostalgiamancy because I think that's what I initially intended it to be about. And it's funny because the chapter I just released is absolutely disavowing quote unquote nostalgiamancy. So there you go. That's a Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Uh, the internet woes. Even though I'm paying more and have an Ethernet direct line and all of this good stuff. Just one of those things. So I apologize for that. But yeah, again, Ali starts off the podcast, by describing Haunt Manual as my work within nostalgiamancy, which I think was true at the time of its inception, but is very much not true um, anymore. So let's see.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Keats?
Hi, yes, sure. My name is Keats Ross. I am a writer of journalistic things, long form fiction. I help run the artistic anarchic collective called We the Hallowed. I write music, perform, and work. Oh my God, this is brutal. You can tell that I was flustered from the morning, and with all that's funny. I was talking about internet issues, and then it happened to me in the stream. But yeah, that's really funny. I don't know how much of this I can take actually. Let me see if I could skip around. Working within audiomantic praxis. Jeez, I'm struggling here. Sorry.
It's all good.
What are you gonna do? I was definitely
Good.
struggling
Yeah, you
there.
do a lot of audiomancy, and we actually had Lux Estrada on
Mm,
episode 4,
right.
I think it was, to talk about audiomancy too.
Oh, there you go. And 10 months later, Lux and I are conjoining to make an audiomantic project with the digital mixtape. So hey, another cosmic reach around.
So,
Yeah, she's great. So yeah, I guess my head's just befuddled. I've been working on something as of late called the Haunt Manual, which is this kind of personal journey into the contradiction that spills out from the macro to the micro. And throughout all of my artistic pursuits, throughout all of my magical pursuits, and it's not only kind of opened up a lot of doors in my mind, a lot of cavities to spelunk within, but it's also scrambled a lot. So I'm constantly thinking about this huge nebulous idea of not only what I do, but what the purpose is. And so, yeah, that's the stasis of which you find me right now, is as in a sort of befuddled amusement by all of the myriad of different things that I dip my toes in, but at the same time, trying to find that continuum between them all. And it runs through music, as in my audiomancy practices, which I've been doing for a very long time. I actually have a video essay on it. Yeah, interesting. So I'm really surprised that I'm surprised how erudite I was about how confused I was about the genesis of this project. Um, in my head, having not heard this and it being 10 months later, I thought I just sounded like a just a babbling idiot, but I'm sure I still do. But all I've got to say is I am very impressed thus far that I was able to actually put words out, still make sense today. So, one for Team Dakota Slim. So let's see. Yeah, let me know if this is too self-flagellating. You know, I'm definitely going to be using this for Patreon subscribers, because if you haven't seen my work as of late, or if you thought that I'm not posting as much, pretty much all of my stuff is going through Patreon, and you can see most of it for just $1 a month at patreon.com/pragmagic. And honestly, that's just where I've been funneling drafts of stories, of edits of the radio play thing that I've been doing, full albums, all of it. So yeah, check that out. But yeah, let's see. Which was, it started as a live in-person kind of art collective where we had a residency in Portland. So I'm talking about the genesis of We the Hollowed right now. So if some of you are still confused as to what We the Hollowed is, then I think I'm about to give it a good rundown. And it was live salons every month where we did a variety show. So, and that's when I started Prag Magic. Was I was interviewing kind of magically minded artists in front of an audience, and then I just started going full throttle with it as a podcast. But now this new chapter is kind of finding the tethers that twine in between all of these, from We the Hallowed to Dakota Slim to me as a writer or a magician, quote unquote, and finding all the things that bind that sinew in between. So that's where I'm at these days. And folks, I'm still there. I'm still at that point. I think it's I'm starting to understand it's, it's the great work is trying to find that sinew to tether all of the, passions that I have and all of the creative interests, and, you know, and just being a good human on top of it all, is definitely a life's work. So, 10 months later, yes, there's been progress on that front. No, it hasn't, been completely turned around, and I don't really expect it to. So, if anything, that was a big epiphany in the last 10 months, is that, I'm a perennial student and I'm stuck. Um, I'm stuck wanting to learn, and yeah, and that's okay. Like, I just don't think I'll ever master anything, and I'm good with that. But anyways.
Interesting. There are a bunch of questions that come up from that. I think the one that is perhaps most interesting is you say that there's some sort of conflict about being a modern artist shining a light on outsiderdom. And I want to add a twist to that question. When you say modern artist, do you actually mean like modernism versus postmodernism versus whatever's happening now? Or do you mean just like contemporary?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I mean it specifically personally, but as I've said, the micro and the macro too. It does come through in a lot of not only how I am kind of giving thanks or a sort of resolve to the things that influence me, but creating not something new, but something filtered through my own paradigm, right? And sometimes that is thought of as postmodernist, but I never really look at it in terms of those generalities or those like artistic movements, even though, I've been supremely, and pun intended, influenced by suprematism and Kazimir Malevich, an early 20th century revolutionary Russian painter who, wrote a manifesto about suprematism and this idea of giving the artist back the subjectivity and foregoing kind of an academic generalization, right, of art, or, of that kind of, I don't want to say elitist, but in that class of understanding of what art is and generalities, as opposed to just a subjective entanglement one has as the artist and one has as a viewer. So yeah, that's interesting. I think I was, speaking of entanglements, during that time I really was motivated and kind of inspired. In the first, is that going to do it? No, in the first chapter of Haunt Manual, it really is kind of a treatise that mentions a lot of artists and creatives that I've loved since I was a kid. And I mentioned Malevich a lot, and I think it started as, I was in this drought for so long, especially with Prag Magic and the interview format and occult podcasting, because I've always been more of a doer. Like, I just don't, it doesn't excite me to, learn the basics of everything all the time. I'd rather kind of get my hands dirty and, blow something up on accident than, try to really grasp what my absolutist idea is of something, because I am very much not an absolutist. And Yeah, so I can see that I always get wrapped up in these traps too, and this isn't, you know, any commentary on Ali's interviewing style or whatever. But when people ask me, it's these sorts of things. It's not unlike when people ask you to describe your music, right? Or they ask you to describe, you know, what kind of painting style you paint in, and it's the same with, I think, my anarchic way of magic or art or any of that is just that, I can pontificate and we can throw around a lot of big words and, you know, nog some big heads about, especially in the pantheon of great art before us or whatever. But at the end of the day, it really is just kind of this funnel from, your human experience into kind of the fucking somatic world, right? So it's yeah, I run around in circles with those questions, but it is fun to talk about and to, kind of shoot the shit about, wax poetic, if you will. So yeah, it's I guess it's both.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ah, it is
I've
both.
I've been reading a little bit of this book recently called The Radicant by I'm going to say his name wrong because it's French, but it looks like Briot. I was definitely wrong. Briard, perhaps. But it kind of reminds me of the basic premise, at least how you pitched it right here, of the Haunt Manual, because the Radicant he juxtaposes with the radical. So the radical is, in the way he's using the terms, someone who is defining themselves by the soil that they grow in order to reach forward as an avant-garde towards new horizons. Whereas the Radicant takes as its manner of organization vines. Like I think he uses ivy specifically as a Radicant, in that it advances in all directions and adheres itself to every surface that it comes across without being defined from a singular soil that it's growing from. It's like wrapping around and piecing together every surface that it encounters.
See, I absolutely adore that. There's so many things to pick apart in just that, especially me personally, as I work, my kind of day job is outdoor education and survival skills. So it. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, that paints a perfect picture of where I was at then. Yeah, because this would be the summer. That would be my last summer doing this. Kind of a couple months later, after this interview was made, I found myself jolted into a completely different career track, and not like a surprising one that I had already, kind of performed and done, but um, through Haunt Manual workings, I was able to find this career track, and I was able to make kind of definite decisions about things like the, wilderness survival teaching and, these stalemates that I had grown into. So it's funny that I'm listening to myself now, um, really just start to begin this process, and you know, I had no idea what was to come. Holy shit. It has been a crazy last 10 months. It is very much ripped out of this kind of, hard-boiled, heavy intellectualism of the creative stuff I do, to contrast that outside of, and using the idea of the vines and the soil has come up a lot for me, and trying to explain, that sort of contradiction. So that's quite beautiful. I'm definitely gonna look into that. Yeah, when I heard vines, I mean, some of my friends, they joke about having a drinking game that anytime I say tether, take a drink, or use some sort of synonym for tether, like sinew, vines, like anything to kind of, dispel this idea that we're just kind of these solo polar magnetic kind of islands, right? And we are inherently kind of always touching something, and that's been a big part of the inner and outer, right? The macro and the micro, especially with, art or magic, and even myself. And through Haunt Manual, finding that tether to the past and working within forgotten kind of dreamscapes of who I once was, all the way to the present of, the kind of echo remembering of these things and using them in positive ways. So yeah, of course, he hit the nail on the head with all that Vine talk.
Yeah, there'll be a link in the description for everyone. So, is there in this haunt manual, what kinds of it sounds like you're trying to elaborate the ways in which, at least you personally, your practice is interdisciplinary. Is that an accurate description?
Yeah, sure. I think it's more I love yeah, because it's again with the like kind of the academic titles, interdisciplinary. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, it is. It's a hodgepodge, right? It's a freaking uh bric-a-brac kind of style of magic and art. But you can tell how reticent I am to like not send my mind reeling in a well, what does interdisciplinary really mean? Like, what's the actual academic, literal definition of what you're meaning, as opposed to me just kind of loosely using that as some like colloquial way of saying, hodgepodge or bric-a-brac. And these are the spinning webs that I get tangled up in all the time when it comes to interpersonal dialogue and conversations. So it's pretty funny. I'm right now. Yeah, interdisciplinary is fine. I do believe in the reverence given to the sorts of things that are pick and pulled, but I'm definitely going off of more of a like just a mutated imaginarium kind of based thing. There's a lot of, like I said, tethers to those interdisciplines, but everyone take a drink. I said tethers. At the same time, I'm kind of finding and resourcing, going back to the roots of, before I was so knowledgeable of all of these high ideas of creation and magical praxis. And my working with kids has brought up this idea of just kind of culling back the world of which I was birthed in, and how I saw the world before the over intellectualizing of these things. Of course, you're not going to supersede that, because unfortunately, somebody with my brain disfluencies is always going to be overthinking
Yeah.
everything. So it really is a praxis to kind of null that, but at the same time allowing a mutation of sorts and really communing with the contradiction of both, of needing to be something very personal and organic, but also it being kind of spawned from perhaps archetypal ideas, but really just personal interactions with the world, and through this brain filter that I have. And I do see a lot. So this is just a Keats word salad of saying, it's I'm not disciplined in any current that is um, largely studied. I tend to just kind of take and pull from my imagination or from inspirations from all sorts and do stuff with that stuff. Obviously, I'm on a podcast, so I'm trying not to sound as like flippant as I just was just now about that. So I'm just filling time with words, trying to say the same exact thing I just did. Um, but I see where I'm going there, because it's interesting. This last Haunt Manual article that I wrote, we'll come back to this, but in salvo siempre salvo, which means saved always saved. Uh, it's my 20-year nostalgia loop essay and chapter, and it's I know a lot of you are familiar with CW Chanter. Well, he's a big portion of this chapter, and got quotes from him and all of that. But it's interesting for me. So this is actually a doctored photo from Eric Millar. That is me 20 years ago under that. Um, and yeah, it's just I'm finding all of these convergences, right? Um, what's been exciting for me is seeing other eclectic kind of anarchic practices that people are utilizing, like CW Chanter with the 20-year nostalgia loop, or Bobby Hale and Leah Ferris and Groucho and Stevie with, listening post alpha. And I was at this time 10 months later from this interview where all of that started to converge, and the sinews, right, became very apparent. And this last chapter of Haunt Manual discusses all that. And then it was just you know, a kind of a trauma trip about 20 years ago, and me realizing that, holy shit, 20 years ago, that was the last year of any semblance of family life that I ever had, like, since. Um, yeah, that was like junior year of high school. It was right before I moved out. And yeah, moved out and had to finish, working, had to quote unquote grow up fast, but didn't really grow up at all. Kind of, got buried down by the weight of kind of a artistic, you know, prowess, but with mental disfluencies that went unmedicated and uh, sought after, and me not learning things when most people learn these things, to kind of survive out in the wild. And so I really was just like a naked baby in a city, just running about. Uh, don't picture that. But yeah, so it's interesting to me that I'm bringing kind of that aspect to it. It almost says to me that there was a part of me that always knew that I was going to reach this point within Han Manual. So very interesting. Anyways, let me check with the chat here. Sorry. This is actually very therapeutic. I can say that the like meta contextual kind of what I call the cosmic reach around of doing this really involved project that goes through, writing and original music and performance and ritual and magic and all of this stuff that Haunt Manual is. It's really neat that I get to hear. There's a hauntological time capsule of this interview right when I started it to now, to where we've gotten, you know, which is like 2 records, four over hour long improvised audiomantic rituals, 6 chapters of Haunt Manual, the Honquinox and all the you know, bits and bops out there. Um, yeah, it's just crazy what can transpire in 10 months when you really think about it. And it's actually pretty motivational to look back at. But anyways, hey, Renee, Miss Jonacide, how are you? Good to see you. The Spirit Descends. I'm guessing that's Seiroth. That looks like. Yeah, I think I just modded you because I just noticed the whatchamacallit, the sigil. Um, awesome. On the rise. Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long. Yeah, me too. Well, this Haunt Manual isn't a manual for someone to like sit down and do it as I've done it, but basically to kind of maybe help inspire different parts of yourself to create your own, because before this, I was too nervous to do improvised live music streams. I mean, I just was. I couldn't conceptualize it. I come from a background of writing songs and albums and all of that. And since doing this, and hitting live on StreamYard or whatever, and, having my setup and my ritual for live music and just letting go and doing it, I never thought that I'd be doing, live music streams, uh, multi-instrumental improvisational stuff, in a long time. So yeah, I just never figured that was a thing, but it's been really therapeutic. And as a matter of fact, now I've got a log of all of these motifs and rhythms and movements and things that, kind of build up and cycle, and then you just hit the release valve every. And so when it comes to the next like sit down record, I've got a whole cachet of, stuff that was just made manifest from like literally nothing. So, that's been really soothing for me. Um, that aspect of it. Because all of this really too is a testament in bettering myself as a human being, right? Um, Getting good with myself, uh, letting go of the what I call the regrunts, which are, when you're walking down the street and you have a passing memory of something you regret and you audibly go, ugh. I do that all the time. I call those regrunts, and I aim to get rid of them. No more regrunts. But anyways, oh, cool. Oh, that's sweet of Kari. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, 20 years ago feels crazy, but 27 years ago I was a crazy mess. Yeah. Yeah, 20 was just on the precipice of becoming a crazy mess for 15 years, you know, 12 years or something. I don't think I got a semblance of fine until I was maybe like 31, 32 or something. I don't know. And I'm not that much older than that. So it's been pretty soon that I feel like I've become kind of a socially acceptable human being, but never gonna go too much that way, right? But anyways, let's again, I want to thank Ali Words too, host of Last Unrifled Yaw. It really was kind of a gift that they didn't put out this interview, for 10 months. It's in this game, I don't want to even call it a game, and I refuse to call it content, but in these artistic expressions of podcasting and broadcasting and all this stuff, there's such a combustible nature to it that people are, continuously putting stuff out. The quicker, the better. And I think it's cool that Ali sat on this and kind of made me have to fess up to it, right? It's easy if I put something out tomorrow and then 10 months later, I've got 20 things after it, right? But since I basically have to kind of come to terms with the fact of who I was 10 months ago because of this document, is really interesting. So let's see. Video file. We don't want that. And yeah, pretty soon here I'll take a little break and I'll play you me and Stevie's new track from Dream Boys of the New Apocalypse. Let's see. We're going to stop screen. It's been a while since I've done StreamYard. Here we go. And I talk about it in the first chapter. I do see a lot of the archetypal ideas, and I do see how it might be redundant in a lot of ways for a lot of people that are confined within this sort of contradictory search between a lot of these things. And I'm okay with that. And so I just kind of follow suit back onto this is really just an expression of everything that came before, in hopes of igniting something new from myself.
Hmm.
That's my favorite because I could have just said that very last sentence, and I think that's Haunt Manual and like a fever pitch is that it's what see I even lost it. What did I say here? Kind of follow suit back onto this is really just an expression of everything that came before, in hopes of igniting something new from an expression of everything that came before in hopes of igniting something new. There you go. That's I think that's what I meant with nostalgia mancy before I actually started experimenting and doing these rituals. I think I'm 3 major rituals down now from this time that I'm talking, and I can tell you, and in Haunt Manual, I've I've been very clear that I wanted to be honest that there are some undesired results with some of these workings, pretty dramatic ones. They all ended up fine and great. As a matter of fact, they're more like a positive card in a way. But yeah, I can sense the baby with a loaded gun in my voice. Little did he know that shit was about to get cray cray from myself.
Hmm.
Oh, you gotta love that too. Just Allie's hmm. Just let me talk until I deflate, and then just give me a hmm.
So, what's your process like working on this haunt manual?
Yeah, so that's another thing. It's the haunt manual itself is really trying to tether all of the projects together. So not only does it spawn from things that kind of inspire me or shake me down, and ideas of more research or talking about things. I talk about how it's funny that the philosophical idea of the pharmacon has been coming up in my head recently, and it's been this kind of ghostly idea that I've always toiled with since high school when I released my first zine, and its name was Pharmacon. Holy shit, that's a 20-year loop too, because that zine came out junior year. Yep, I had a high school zine called Pharmacon. Um, and yeah, it's a philosophical concept. It was kind of popularized by Jacques Derrida. Um, Basically, like this beautifully contradictory kind of element, something that is both the poison and the antidote. Um, he uses, like in pop culture, like a vampire who is both living, or he's neither living nor dead. They're undead, right? So it's that perfect in between, that third pinnacle in a triangle, um, that neither either or, right? And so it's a lot of meditation, kind of what I call nostalgiamancy, kind of this like hauntology of. I do not call it nostalgiamancy anymore. The self, of I call it hauntomancy now because I'm that clever. Remember, the inspirational bits and bops that spawned a lot of these trajectories, but at the same time, kind of giving them due reverence of where I am now. And so there's a lot of meditation, a lot of meditative practices, but it's also I'm utilizing audiomancy. I'm doing these live improvisational, just going with one kind of key and playing um, live with no kind of written. Hold on, I want to back up because it sounds like I'm talk about what the genesis was. So I've always been doing audiomantic work, and that means I've always been creating with a metaphysically minded or ritualized kind of creative session utilizing music, right? Um, or utilizing metaphysical ways to help enhance or inspire the creation of music. So I've been doing that forever. When it came to Haunt Manual, this is when I got nitty gritty and started really confining each of the audiomantic workings, down to the actual talismans or the instruments used for each of the workings, down to like the smallest things, what I was wearing. Like it's in this weird role play thing where it's ceremonial, doing ceremonial garb, doing intentional um, casting with intentional talismanic things, and so it's gotten far more kind of astute, far more um how do I put it? Kind of less anarchic in a way. The practice itself is still anarchic, but each of the workings within this practice has been very intentional and very ritualized, depending on the intention or the overarching kind of theme of the working. So this is before I think I really started diving deep into that. And so yeah, so this is me, I think, describing what audiomancy I've been doing that kind of helped conjure the idea of what Haunt Manual is. Trajectory whatsoever in front of me. And it also do reverence of where I am now. And meditative practices, but it's also I'm utilizing audiomancy. I'm doing these live improvisational, just going with one kind of key and playing um live with no kind of written trajectory whatsoever in front of me. And it also is a study of what comes up to me, what are the prevailing kind of notes or are like musical movements that I see kind of generate and then turn into new things. And I use that as the underlying score for the audio portion
Mhm.
of the Haunt Manual, which is me kind of reading this chapter that I wrote. Yeah, so I think it was still kind of nebulous to me then. It got way more intentional as the workings went on. But yeah, what I'm realizing is that Haunt Manual, if it was taken in its like brass tacks and was able to be transposed to anybody, for me, music has been my tether of communication since I could make a sentence, that in writing. Um, but for me, there's something about music and the kind of oversensory, um, objectiveness about it, and the places that I can get to whilst creating music or playing music or drowning myself in music, like has been my avenue through, uh, kind of what I call dimming the zimzum or dimming the contraction of the Ein Sof, right? Kind of dimming the corporeal, dimming the somatic, right? To get to the weird and get to the other. Transdimensional wayfare, you know what I'm saying? But it's just because that's my easy outlet to that. Every other artistic kind of project you could supplement into Haunt Manual and then just configure it to your metalsmithing passion, your painting passion, you know what I mean? And that's something I've been realizing is that like there are elements that are kind of true with this that I can transpose to, writing or film work or whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm passionate about. Um, but for this first volume of Haunt Manual, it's going to be very audiomantic or audiomancy centric, I should say, because that's always just been kind of my second sight, I think, with art. And writing has been my main one, but it's you're you're kind of overthrown with more sensory kind of tactileness and physicality, performing music and singing and drumming and playing guitar and manipulating and so to me it just that's my easy go-to. It encompasses all of that. And so it works within a lot of different artistic paradigms,
See,
like
I
the
did that.
podcast and We the Hallowed, where it will be in article format. But it also utilizes a lot of the practices too to generate, um, each thing. So it really is a journalistic um, kind of culling of everything that I've done before into a mishmash moving forward, a fluid mishmash, but a mishmash nonetheless. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too is that these workings. I am kind of widespread about my many passions, whether it's like writing or music or podcasting or whatever. And through Haunt Manual, I found that tether. I found that sinew that I do these big magical intentional audiomancy rituals, and then I have that hour plus of original music never before performed by me, not covering anything, completely mine. And then I use that to inspire the chapter writing, as I format, my narrative around what I did and what I was doing. And then I put out the podcast with it as the music as the score for the podcast and me reading that. So I'm hitting like all of the cross-sectional kind of passions and things all stemming from these rituals, these Haunt Manual workings. So it is the sinew. I've found a way to kind of tether all of these otherwise kind of disparate, pieces of multimedia creation together. And I'm not saying that and it hasn't always started with music, right? Sometimes it'll start with a piece of writing. There is one, I think it's the second working where the I was inspired to work on a long form fiction that I've been writing for many years. And I wrote this scene from that book and used that as the intro to the chapter because it helped kind of me parlay like how to in a narrative structure jot what all of these crazy extrasensory and big idea things in a kind of a very multifaceted way, but a very kind of narrative way. So it's not that it always is birthed out of the music. um it is though that it inspires like the workings themselves do inspire all of these things, and I think that's the biggest point. Excuse me, is that I found a practice of my own that helps me fortify and kind of calibrate all of my wants and passions in artistic ways to kind of conform together where I'm able to tend to each one, you know? And it's uh it's a long time coming. If you say if you're just a listener for the podcast, that means podcasts are coming out a lot slower, right? Because now every month I'm doing one of those and a chapter in the book, a whole audiomancy ritual, you know, that sometimes becomes an album. And so everything has lessened as far as like the continual output, but everything has been continual and consistent. It's just been kind of spread across. And that's something I'm trying to work on personally is not feeling that fret of I need to get something out or I've got to do this and I've got to do that. It's not so much a fear of relevance, it's more of a fear of um not holding myself accountable with deadlines and things like of that nature. So things are always being done and tended to via haunt manual, but you know, it's going to be spread across all multimedia. So, ooh, excuse me. Yeah, with that, let's see if we can play me and Stevie's new track. Here, I'm gonna have to play it from. I don't think I can just play an audio file, can I? No. All right, we're gonna go to. So I've been working on this is another project, long time coming. Stevie and I uh, did a track. I had an instrumental track from my Dakota Slim album Bardos, and I put some poetry of Stevie, a recording of him, on top of it, and we used that for a Honquinox 2 years ago. And Honquinox is our big We the Hollowed festival, like stream festival, and it sounded so good. Like I was so excited by it, and that we decided like we got to keep this going. And I think it was I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was for the same one. Oh no, that was for the audio sigil, and then Stevie did, two more vocals on some tracks that I had made that I wasn't sure what to do with, and we decided, yeah, we've got to put this together as a release. And so Stevie does the lyrics, and his booming, gorgeous Scottish voice handles the vocals, and I just do the music, and um, it's been really fun. And so today I've been working on a mix of one of the new songs, and I'm gonna just play it from Google Drive. It won't look too pretty, but I think it'll work just fine. Let's see. I'll let everyone get their headphones together. Get your headphones together, because I'm gonna do this. Cool. So this song is called New Lands, and it is by yours truly and Seyroth the Mage, tentatively titled The Dream Boys of the New Apocalypse. Yeah, so here's New Lands.
Foul black air and smouldering cities. Another terrible century begins. Shuddering down through spirals of time, warlords and goose-stepping soldiers march in rank and line. Plague, war, and rumors of war. Europe in flames, black rats, Vikings. Fever ships and ghost galleons, dock crews of poisoned men. The horror of history, the apocalypse is at hand. Foaming foul-mouthed flagellants, the holy man, burning coals for eyes. God will not desert us. Repent, and ye shall never die. The bow thrust tight, the flaming arrow of Christ. St. Anthony's fire, blackened limbs, ecstatic visions. They feverishly twitch and dance. The apocalypse is at hand. Far away upon the rugged sea, safe in humble quarters, the children of older gods accompany me. We sail for...
Nah, screw that. I forgot to mute my mic, so you're going to hear it again. Woohoo! Dream Boys New Apocalypse, New Lands, here we go.
Foul black air and smouldering cities. Another terrible century begins. Shuddering down through spirals of time, warlords and goose-stepping soldiers march in rank and line. Plague, war, and rumors of war. Europe in flames, black rats, Vikings. Fever ships and ghost galleons, dock crews of poisoned men. The horror of history, the apocalypse is at hand. Foaming foul-mouthed flagellants, the holy man, burning coals for eyes. God will not desert us. Repent, and ye shall never die. The bow thrust tight, the flaming arrow of Christ. St. Anthony's fire, blackened limbs, ecstatic visions. They feverishly twitch and dance. The apocalypse is at hand. Far away upon the rugged sea, safe in humble quarters, the children of older
Wait, can you hear me? What is happening with this? Hello, hello. All right. I was trying to be sly and use Drive, but it looks like it is not capable of doing so. We'll try it again when I figure out how to. I'm definitely going to put it on the podcast this week. You can hear me, right? Can everybody hear me? That was really weird. I'm having some full moon juju up in here with this internet stuff. But yeah, it'll be on the podcast, talking about the We the Hollowed Green Mushroom Project maxi single. I'll try again at the end of the show here tonight. I don't want to spend too much longer on this, but I'll close out with that. And we'll remember to mute my headphones. And we'll remember to not touch the fucking computer when something's playing. Thank you. This is my TED Talk. Hopefully you can hear me. It has been quite a day. All right. Anyways, let's okay, cool. Yeah, we emptied the room. Ah, see, it didn't sound like the version you sent. I think we emptied the room. Yes. Haha. Yeah, so that's okay. Yeah, I was having issues with the bounces. Basically what coming from my phone, it's a mastering thing. It's going to sound different than what I intended on the computer. So I'm interested to hear what it sounded like on your end. If it sounded better or clearer or what, but it's also being played through Google Drive. So, whatever. That was a nice little hiatus. We'll give it a go later. But, back to the last Unrifled Yaw.
When you say musical movement, what do you mean by that exactly? So I'm imagining you pick like A minor or something, and then you hop on. I think you mainly play guitar, and you kind of
Yeah.
just go for it, and then something that you're calling a musical movement emerges organically.
Yeah. So in the first case, I'm playing guitar. I'll be playing a bunch of other things, and actually, it'll kind of go more intricate as the time goes. But the first installment was, very tight praxis in that I'm, kind of using the nostalgiamancy through music where I give myself, a key, and I'm finding that I'm unlocking rhythms or movements from songs I've written in the past that I have not played in forever. Kindly pop up, and
So you mean
then
like physical movements of your arms and hands playing?
well, that and also musical movements like, quote unquote riffs, right? Or chord progressions or any of that. And I'm finding that it like a ghost is popping up of these old songs that I've forgotten will show up and then mutate into something completely new. And it's just kind of, this sinew through this unstopped 30-minute audiomantic process.
That almost sounds a little bit like the way you described some of your tape work, your
Yes.
audio tape work. I recently watched, I think it's called Dim the Zimzum, one of your videos
Yeah.
where you talk about. It's kind of like a little bit like you're doing the same thing, but through yourself as opposed to the memories of what's on the radio.
Exactly. Yeah. And like the micro macro too, it's that physical interaction, right? Versus the say like the drum machine digital beats that are kind of, were written in the past, but I'm just live kind of manipulating that are kind of already written there. But I'm also interacting with the music live in the physical space as it's, being reverberated out. And it really is kind of this, you know, hauntological thing of rediscovering or unlocking, old forgotten songs that, I have stored away somewhere, or like finding these different pathways to memory, because memory has unfortunately been a big issue for me, as of late, through my struggles of, in the past, of drug addiction and a lot of undiagnosed, what I call mental disfluencies, or, yeah, things that were undiagnosed, that went undiagnosed for a long time. And then after seeking some help and then, figuring out things sort of within the confines of, and I talk about that, excuse me, in the first chapter of Haunt Manual, of this want to be free of this sort of pharmacology, but am not yet able to, because I just haven't gained the right access or routinization or ritual even, to work beyond that. And I think because of that, memory has been a big issue of mine. So it's also this really funny contradiction, to use the term, and I'll probably say contradiction 8 million times in this, so forgive me. But the contradiction of, wanting to purvey a new chapter, but being kind of stuck in the stasis by not being able to remember what to fix what came before, if that makes sense. And so I think about that in the audiomantic part of the Haunt manual too, where I'm sitting there and it's pretty broken down. I'm playing, my baritone guitar, and I'm manipulating a drum machine, but at the same time I'm like unlocking these songs and these things that were never finished, or if they were recorded, I'd wish they were recorded differently. And remembering that passion to like that our art is fluid and that nothing's ever really finished, and remembering that kind of, how do I put it, I don't want to say bravery, that sounds pompous, but maybe it is a sort of bravery in being like open to kind of disregard the finality of what came before, but allow kind of the mutation to pick up the pieces of where it once was, and find some solace in kind of moving forward with those art pieces or those songs, right? So
Are you-
yeah, that's funny. I think Renee in the chat was mentioning bravery. That's synchronous that came up. Yeah, and I still feel the same way. I think there's like, yeah, I don't know if bravery is the right word, but I do find solace, and I do find kind of an empowerment, and not being arrested to the discography of what came before, and being able to change um art pieces that I felt were never finished, but just because they're released or they're published, my father always used to say that an artist never finishes, they just give up. And I agree kind of completely, obviously not not absolutely to that, but there is a semblance in that. But I also would add, an addendum to that. It's that, an artist never finishes, they just give up until they feel moved to pick it up again, right? Like, I think there's a lot of hushed tones and quietness that a piece needs to breathe in one's life after creating it. And I think it's a cool idea, and it's a fun idea, and there is a freedom to going, so what if it was recorded before? So what if it's like it's mutated in my mind now, and it needs to be this, and so you know what, I made it, I'm going to destroy it, I'm going to change it, and that could be said about memory, that could be said about trauma and experience. It's never a point to change it, but it's always a point to kind of evolve with it, and to commune with it, and to see about being on a lateral plane with it, instead of in this really off axis kind of disproportionate dystopia, right? With memory and with trauma. So yeah, I think the micro being a piece of art that was created long ago that never felt like it really had its due, or is different than you intended it to be, and having the freedom, and maybe the empowerment later to be like, it's not that I want to change that memory, that'll still be there, that piece of art will still be out there, but I'm going to take from that and recontextualize and meta contextualize it to kind of sing with me in the present, or who knows, sing with me in the future. So yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
familiar with Aidan Wachter?
Oh yeah, I am.
Do you know?
So yeah, I do remember this piece about Aidan Wachter, which I have heard of, pretty popular amongst occult circles. He's an occultist. I have never read one of his books, and this won't be the first time that I've heard someone kind of comparing something of Haunt Manual to some other kind of occultist or artist or whatever, and that's totally fine. I mean, that's, those tethers are gonna be sprung. It's not like it's wholly original, but means to kind of keep it until I decide that this volume is finished, to keep it kind of funneling with a trajectory that I'm intending. I kind of intend not to look into things that I'm being compared to, or I do remember this specifically because Aiden Walker is somebody I always wanted to read, just didn't really get around to, and here I am 10 months later, and it's still on my mind, but I haven't because it's not a fear of it influencing, it's almost a fear of like it dissuading me, that I just need to see this through. And if, I pick up something that I see that could be so similar, and, what do they call that? Parallel thinking or whatever. I think it would dissuade me from finishing, or it would infect kind of the trajectory I'm on. So Aiden Walker is somebody I will get around to enjoying, I'm sure. But yeah, I haven't picked it up. Uh, haven't picked him up because yeah, I want to funnel what's already here, so to speak. I am in taking other stuff, but that's more kind of, who knows, who's to say? Aiden Walker could be inspirational and take me another route, but I think I'm just so concentrated right now and focused on this, you know, these workings and how they've progressed and what comes next, that I've been in a standstill with really diving into other currents of magic, or other, philosophizing of magic. Um, Aside from, listening post alpha or other people that, you know, kind of tether into what I'm doing, and and it's tit for tat. Yeah, I may sound like a dick right now because it's like, no, I don't want to read it, Wachter, because you're comparing what I'm doing to him. But just to be honest, it's like, I think that's really cool, but I need to finish my thing, and then I will kind of be able to look at it, with a more discerning eye. Um, yeah. But anyways, that's my TED talk.
No, I'm going to get the name wrong because I don't like actively practice his stuff, but he has a number of rituals that involve working with like your past memories. Do you know about those?
I don't. I've heard Aiden on friends' podcasts and stuff, but I've primarily just been so insular within my own stuff. But I should definitely look. Things have not changed in 10 months. Still insular, and yet not insular. Thus the contradiction, right? Um, but yeah, that's funny. Look these up.
Yeah, I think it might be. I'm not sure if it's in Weaving Fate, which was his book that's about hyper sigils, or I think the Fever Stone might.
Okay, I mean, yeah, and Aiden's talking about hypersigils. I'm talking about hauntology. We're always going to be citing the quickest words to express these big ideas in the most, erudite way. And I may bastardize hauntology, right? I admittedly do. In the most recent chapter of Haunt Manual, I even talk about how, the kind of ironic metatextual kind of elements of hauntology, and how that's, biting me in the ass, but it's also giving me some grace about having humor about all of this and all of these workings. So yeah, it's all, like I said, it's this filter and this funnel, right? But I'm gonna skip ahead here and see if there's probably another subject. Nothing against Aiden. I look forward to reading their communion of finding, that tether in between. Well, take a drink. I said tether.
Details of how this hauntology that you're practicing works. Are you like you made it sound at one point like you were identifying perhaps a list of archetypes that maybe you're calling tethers. I might be misinterpreting here.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, the tethers, I meant is what we call kind of the tenets of We the Hallowed, which are very very simple tenets. It's, we're just all metaphysically minded. It's weird that I went to I think this was me having my podcast podcast guest hat on, thinking that I need to like slyly mention We the Hollowed every fucking 4 questions or something, but it's weird that I would use We the Hollowed's use of tether to define my overall use of tether, because that's just such a iota of it. But yeah, we've been through this before. It is somewhat archetypal in the spaces in between, right? So let's see. Moving ahead. Yeah, forgive my freaking internet. Am I out? Did it go? Is it finally done? There we go. Yeah, and there are personifications of the tethers, and for general understanding, I skipped ahead like 10 minutes and I'm talking about tethers again. It's good to know these things. It's taken me a long time when I was a kid to try to hush my southern accent. It's taken me forever as a broadcaster to hush my vocal disfluencies. And I still and I still say like a little more than I'd like, and I still say all the time. And tethers is going to be added to that list. Stop fucking saying that word. Get a thesaurus, Keats. Sometimes I'll just use kind of the archetypical ideas of the tarot to kind of illustrate such practices. But I also have kind of my own created creatures, as I'll put them, that kind of are not unlike comic book monsters or ideas of monsters that you must commune with, to kind of get the beauty of the whole. But I'll go into all of that in the next chapter, which should be coming out next month. I'm not sure when this episode is coming out, but the first Haunt Manual chapter and episode will be out tomorrow night, which is Sunday, I think the 31st of July. So
It'll probably.
Wow, that's really interesting. I didn't realize that I recorded this on the eve before the first Haunt Manual chapter. And that was back when I was trying to release the chapter and the audio chapter at the same time. And if you've heard the audio chapters, it's a lot of work. It's, scoring the audiomancy underneath, and it's a book, right? It's like an artistic radio book. A lot of editing involved, and that's why I'm 2 chapters ahead written than I am of the audio chapters. I'm 2 behind when it comes to the audio chapters, and I will still be behind this week because I'm going to put out another podcast instead of the next audio chapter. Because really, I will eventually do it for every one of them, but I thought, adding that on top of it monthly, like, I got to know my limitations as far as time and responsibilities outside of this here dimming room. Unfortunately, the tethers are strong. Sorry, I said it.
Probably
Yeah.
be like 10 months or something crazy for this.
Okay. Well, cool. This will be. He called it. He said, or they said, excuse me. They said 10 months, and it's pretty much almost right on the dot. So good job, Allie. Talk about foresight. A very hauntological chapter then about where I was, monsters or ideas. So I'm about to leap into the future after realizing that what we're talking about won't even be made public for 10 months. And this is why we are here today, because here we are 10 months later, and it's come out today, and it is a hauntological artifact about my hauntomancy workings, my hauntological magics within Haunt Manual, and this cosmic Ouroboros, right? So this is my past self, divining right now. of monsters that you must is Sunday, I think the 1st or 31st of July. So
It'll probably be
yeah.
like 10 months or something crazy for this.
Okay. Well, cool. This will be a very hauntological chapter then about where I was, and explaining the genesis of this and how far I'll probably be through it by that time. So that's super interesting. That is super
Yeah.
interesting.
That is kind of micro macro.
There you go. Here we are
All
again.
right. Do you have some inspiration?
I think that's a good place to end it. At least for this portion, I think that was beautiful. Well, let's listen a little more. Let's see. I don't
Sources you'd
remember.
like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I can only buoy up the people that are around me. Okay, yeah, I'm about to plug people like Eric Millar, Sarah the Mage, Lux Estrada, Derek Hunter, Sam Shadow, all these wonderful people in my life that has definitely helped usher this sinew. Now I'm going to overuse sinew. But I did want to say, again, Pragmagic on Patreon is the place to be for just $1 a month. You get most of it. I'm actually very generous with I it's very rare that I hold, a higher uh subscription, over or delegate. That's only due to like, really big video projects or big albums and stuff. But as a $1 a month supporter, you can get full albums. You can get there's over 145 posts, everything from fiction drafts of a book that I'm working on, uh, never before heard or released interviews, Patreon only streams, which I tend to do more often than public ones, at least a couple a month. The last one actually was great. It was me and Sam Shadow deciphering my last Hauntomancy working, utilizing the listening post alpha kind of rubric. And listening post alpha is from Temple of Babylon, Kronzon's Bobby Hale and Leah Ferris, or Leah Ferris. And they use the English Kabbalah or the Gematria to help decipher, their workings and tie it through Twin Peaks. It's all very, very cool, very zeitgeisty. I really feel like it's kind of cutting edge when it comes to pop culture and magic. Very cool. But yeah, so there's all this. Oh yeah, and if you weren't aware, oh, I gotta always stop sharing for a new screen here. But I was on the most recent Scavenge Rituals, which is a zine created by the Scavenger, and I have a piece about that really breaks down my haunt manual workings. It's basically an introductory essay about the haunt manual and their workings, because the yet to be released but already finished and already privy to Patreon supporters is the prospector working I just did that utilizes the spirit box in conjunction with audiomancy, and I edited it down to like a 7-minute excerpt, and it was released on a 5-inch along with Scavenge Rituals, which is it's really neat. Let's see, I think there's a picture of it somewhere. There it is on clear. So yeah, that was really cool, and that came out last month. I'm excited to. That's the next chapter of Haunt Manual. Actually, the next chapter of Haunt Manual talks more about listening post alpha and my work with them. As this last chapter I just put out, I talked about the 20-year nostalgia loop with C.W. Chanter, me moving away from the idea of quote unquote nostalgiamancy. And then it starts talking about the future and the prospect of self and cool things that I'm doing that aren't hinging on nostalgia or trauma, or like finally kind of breaking free into experimentation of like untreaded places and things. And it's been really really rewarding. So please check that out. And let me see here. I think that about does it. I may just make this stream for patrons. So again, patreon.com/pragmagic with the K. You'll be able to see all of the hidden gems. And yeah, I really just funnel everything through there because I'm at a point where I'm so spread thin with all the projects and work and everything. I'm actually attempting to be somewhat financially minded and trying to get above water when it comes to all of the maintenance and cost that goes into all of these projects. So, yeah, for $1 a month, you get a hell of a lot, especially new albums. And new albums like I just put this one out on February 23rd. This is from a Audiomancy dim session. This is from a Haunt Manual session. The second one called The Aspect are working. On my birthday on February 23rd, I woke up with a need to just create and release something, and I had no plan, and so I decided to cut up an Audiomancy working and turn it into an album, and I released it as a Dakota Slim album. And yeah, it's a Spectre of 223. And then actually the other working from Haunt Manual has become the Ectogasm record. So, like I said, it's feeding into, a narrative work. It's feeding into albums. It's feeding into original music and original, compositions and art and all of this stuff. It's funneled through here. And so, yeah, this was the big one that got me out of my shell. And I started making music like I would when I was like 14 with like circuit bent keyboards and broken drum machines and weird stuff. Very weird stuff. So it's Audiomancy from an unrealized film, because it sounds like a film score, as all of these Audiomancy workings do. And yeah, this one's called Ectogasm. You can find that at ectogasm.bandcamp.com. And yeah. Oh, wait, yeah, Sarath, you want to come on? Maybe we can share that together. Share that track. I get lost in my own sauce, as they say. Gonna stump up. I don't know what stump up means. But yeah, let me know and I'll send you a link. Because yeah, I've got a few more minutes. Do have to get to work early. But yeah, let's see. So many tabs. So many tabs. Keeping tabs. So many. All right. In the meantime, why don't I show some fun of the some of the Audiomancy workings from Haunt Manual. You can tell I'm absolutely prepared to do this. Look at me go. He's looking. He's looking. Can he find it? Can he find it? Look for it. N H. All right, here we go. Oh, that's that. No. All right. Sorry. I hate it when people do this on stream, but this is me just trying to be goofy. I'm just being a dork here. So let's play some more of this. We'll see if Stevie comes in. If not, I'm going to figure out how to play our track. sorry, that was the wrong one. Stevie boy, how's it going? I hear the birds. It's early there, huh? Can you hear me? We can hear you. Can you hear me now? If there's anyone watching in the chat, let me know if you can hear me.
Hey. Very
Hey.
well, thank you, Keats. Yes, it's the dawn chorus. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're on a super delay. I think
I can hear you.
You might have my the YouTube open. Which you should just have StreamYard open.
Take this thing off. Yeah, I can hear you, Keats. Oh, it might be a Bluetooth issue.
Yeah, either
There.
that or you had like the YouTube.
Are we synced now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I'll have to take off my Bluetooth.
It's all good. Nothing like a late night, early morning stream. I'm trying to figure out how to play.
Okay, very sorry about that. I had my Bluetooth headphones on, and as you know, we have a latency problem with those.
Yeah. You can hear me okay now?
Okay, now I can't hear anything.
It's all good. I'm wondering why. Okay.
Can you hear me, Keats?
I can. Yeah. Can you hear me?
1 2 1 2 1 2.
We're gonna do this for 20 minutes. I'm talking. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can hear you fine, which is odd. People are dropping. But I'm gonna play our song again. Yeah, we're on a super delay.
So I can hear you.
Can you hear me? The YouTube open.
Yes, that's the problem. Sorry, Keats. I've wrecked your stream. I can hear you, Keats. Okay, that should be better now.
Can you hear me?
Oh. God damn it. Right. YouTube's off. Sorry about that. It's been a while.
No problem. You can hear me now, though?
Can you hear me now, brother?
I can hear you, but you can't hear me, right?
For some reason, I can't hear you.
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. Am I here? Check.
Headphones.
Check.
Terribly sorry about this.
Oh, it's all good.
Okay.
Totally fine.
I still can't hear
All
you.
good.
Keats.
I'm gonna play. Oh, good. Gonna play a song.
Will I leave and come back?
Yeah. Oh, good. All right, folks. Nothing like a little bit of some interesting issues, but yeah, here's the Spectre of 223 dim session.
Still no sound.
Both me. Boop, boop,
Come
boo.
on.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I had to
Awesome.
adjust my sound settings.
Renee said I can hear both of you.
Yeah, for anyone that was enjoying that stream, I'm very sorry. As soon as I
No,
came in, it all went to shit.
actually, it gave me time to check that doing screen share and playing music is awful. It
Yeah.
sounds awful.
Yeah, it didn't sound like the version you sent me, which was in like full, glorious,
Yeah.
stereoscopic sound.
I'm wondering, I'm gonna look how to do that. I think I can like upload an MP3 or something, Or like I used to be able like it's not share, maybe it is share screen. Present, yeah, share screen and it's here we go, window. Look at me. All right, let me know if this sounds good.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute us or mute me. Okay, it's not even playing.
Nope, didn't hear a thing.
Look at us. I'm glad we're figuring this out.
Yeah, well, this is professionalism.
There you go. Yeah, I can always just, clip stuff out. This was going to be largely for patrons anyway, including yourself. So,
Yeah, well, I am going to join. That was what I meant by stumping up. It's a British expression for stumping up some cash because
oh, I get you. Yeah, yeah.
you're well worth the content, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited. We got to figure out a date to release this thing. I say we do like June 23rd or something.
Yeah, that would be auspicious. Just
Yeah,
after the summer solstice.
7/23. Those are good numbers.
Yeah, very nice.
Or that's 6/23 actually, but
Yeah, well,
you can tell I'm good with
who's
that.
counting?
Yeah. But yeah, and like that'll at least because I'd love to talk to you. Oh, is there only silence? I'd love to talk to you about like art though as well,
Yeah, absolutely. I love to talk about art.
But especially like art you'd like to use for.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most of the kind of better stuff you've seen is when I was doing a lot of painting and drawing back in the day. I always mean to get back to it, but I've got about a million other projects, and I've got constant guilt that I'm not, with listening post alpha. I never do the spirit box sessions on time, and so yeah, I'm kind of lost in music at the moment.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it like music's the trigger for me. Like once when I have that kind of sorted, it bleeds into every other thing.
Yeah, it was something I desperately wanted to get back to from my days in the band in the crazy '90s, and it just never looked like it was going to happen. And then I got that key oscillator thing, and I said, "Wow, I can actually make some kind of sound, and I don't have to play any instruments. It pretty much plays itself."
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and then I
I
bought
mean,
my
you're still
guitars.
physically manipulating it
Oh yeah,
though.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, you can like just press a button and a program drum beat comes in, but I don't use any of that. So
Right,
there
right.
there is a degree of skill involved, but
Hmm.
it's just such a delight to use.
Yeah, and that with the guitar, that's always fun.
Yeah, so I've expanded my collection of guitars now. I've got my Jazzmaster. I also got a Fender Starcaster, which are cheap Chinese crappy things.
Yeah.
But my friend Justin, who actually can play the guitar, says it's very nice. He
Yeah,
often.
and the Strat style is like just it's timeless because it's like the way the bridge and like the way it's engineered is like for such easy playability. Like
Yeah,
strats are made just to be smooth, you know.
absolutely. And it's got quite a growl to it compared to the Jazzmaster. So
Yeah, I love the Jazzmaster though. I almost bought. I've had my eyes on a white one for a long time, and replacing the red tortoiseshell with the white pick guards.
yeah.
Yeah,
I went.
that's the next guitar. I actually got
Yeah.
Mary got me the Fender Mustang because I'm basically
Oh
gonna
wow,
turn it into a mini Jazzmaster or
beautiful.
the Squire Mustang.
Yeah, Squires are just they're Fenders. Oh, it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, gonna paint it though.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
like a
you'd
little
have
off
to
white.
you'd have to airbrush it, would you?
So yeah, I'm gonna strip it, and then there's actually like I was looking online because I haven't. Last time I painted a guitar, it was with acrylics, and like wiped
Yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, they have like spray paint now that you can
Hmm.
just like do it, and it's like a all in one. It's got like a finish in it or something. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to decide what color. I've got the green burst, ectogasm already. So I think the
yeah.
next one's just pink, right, or
N-
white.
nice. Yeah, I saw the thing that made me want to get a guitar in the first place was I saw a Squire 40th anniversary, beautiful kind of blue, uh, cobalt blue,
Uh huh.
and it was in the window in the local music store, and it just called to me. I tried to get finance for it, and they wouldn't trust me with it, so I went for a very cheap Squire Jazzmaster. But for someone that
No,
can only
that
play like 6 chords, it's fine.
it's also like I love the color, that like champagne
Yeah, I think it's
finish it
called
has.
Burgundy Mist.
I love it. Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
odd. I like odd
Oh
things.
yeah. Yes, me
You don't
too.
see a lot of those.
Nope.
Yeah, but yeah,
So
you have and then you and Bobby were working on something too musically, right?
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what the Spirit Descends is?
No, that is actually me and Justin, who is he's an old partner in crime of
Mm-hmm.
mine. We went through our addiction cycle pretty much together for the whole way, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's gloriously opiate free.
Awesome.
He took some ibogaine as well to try and just clear the rest of it out. He thinks he should have taken a bit more, so we've kind of
Did he
reunited.
go to a
No,
like
no,
a
no. He
okay?
just ordered some online and took some
Okay.
advice from the guy he bought it from, and he thinks he maybe should have taken more. Although he did describe some pretty, it's not a pleasant experience, or it wasn't for
Right.
him
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, because it's supposed to just like shrink the entire withdrawal into like a day of like transcendental fucking
Yeah,
madness, right?
yeah. He saw like energy. He looked out the window and he could just see kind of weird energy floating down and stuff. But he's a great guy, a very, very talented guitarist. So he comes around every Thursday night. We drink beer, play music, and we are the Spirit Descends. So
Awesome.
I'm trying to plug it heavy at the moment because I've only got like 24 subscribers. Thank you, Eileen Ebony.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that before I forget right now. Let's see.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
So
because you also started the pop orchestra one
yeah,
too, right?
well, yeah, that was my kind of intermediate name, just to separate it from the Saroth the Mage stuff.
Oh,
But with
so that's what the Spirit Descends
yeah,
is now.
so they're
Okay.
the same.
So I'm
Yeah.
already subscribed then. Yeah.
Oh, groovy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a name change, but it came about because we were talking about, as a musician and an artist, you'll know that when you're in the zone, and especially I think if you're playing with someone else, and you both just get sucked up into that third mind, and we thought,
Mm-hmm.
well, a spirit descends like God on the face of the waters in Genesis or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Dispatched by the clouds. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great name. Yeah, can't wait to hear more. That's awesome that you have such a good routinized like collaboration too. That's the one
Yeah.
thing I'm missing is that it's funny hearing me 10 months ago talk about, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out a routine. You know? That was
Yeah.
me 2 years ago too.
Yeah. But I mean, man, you're so productive and creative, and you work. You know, I really struggle with my day job, fitting in all my interests and stuff. And so many times a week, I want to just throw my throw my identity badge down and storm out. But then I think, no, I cannot.
Yeah, it's been really rough. I've kind of learned to be kinder to myself in regards to the like impetus I feel to for deadlines and all of that. And like now, Pragmagic, the podcast will come out once a month instead of three, you know. But that's I'd rather it be good than rush something out. And yeah, working 60-hour weeks,
You
uh
work 60 hours a week.
yeah, running like big events. I'm like a head video operator for a bunch of like events in
Nice.
downtown. And it's that's been going great, but at the same time, like I come home and I'm fucking dead. I just
Yeah.
so it's been really hard. And like honestly, when you see me posting on social media or like doing any of this, it's because I had a day off. Like it's hard for me to do it on days. I can't even. It's hard for me to look at the phone or do social media
Oh,
on days I'm
I'm the
working.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
the I don't do much social media nowadays. I just stick up any stuff that I'm trying to promote, and talk to you and Bobby and the guys in that little group.
Yeah. It's such a great group. I am. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited that I have like two. I'm so used to finishing something and putting it out, and now I'm sitting on a lot of the stuff with the LPA and
yeah,
just this great cachet of things that I get to really like meditate on and work with, and
yeah.
you know.
It's I kind of knew that you and Bobby and Leah and Sam and I were all bound to get on because they really come at things from a decidedly new angle, although they're extremely they do proper magical
Oh
rituals.
yeah.
But yeah, Bobby is just a powerhouse. He
Hmm.
never stops. I don't think he sleeps. He just
No, it's
spews gematria 24
yeah.
hours a day.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, a lot of the reason why this past week I had to turn off the phone was because, I had this really heavy work week, but I was also like my mind was dipping into two worlds and it was infecting like my job, my work, because I just wanted to just write and do all these things. And I was like, you know what? I have to turn off my phone and
Yeah,
just push through this. Also, I've got health insurance woes fucking every month, and I'm
yeah.
always having trouble. There's always a week out of the month where I'm just like beat down, heavily. And I it's funny in that interview I was talking about how I'm still in the process of trying not to rely on medication and shit, but everything else has got to kind of fall into place before I ex-nay that.
Yeah. Well, I was actually on sertraline for a while, which is an antidepressant, but
Mhm.
I think it was more. I kind of had to prove to my work that I was genuinely all broken up when things went to shit with a certain lady roundabout this time last year, actually. So I stopped taking them. Just like I'd forget to take them, and then I'd maybe take one every 3 days. So I've just completely come off them now.
Yeah. Did you have a week kind of detox period from that?
I had weird physical sensations, but I always have weird physical sensations
Mhm.
because I'm on a couple of other medications which aren't so easy to come off.
Yeah, that was my issue is like,
You don't know which one is having which
yeah.
side effect.
Yeah, and then when really having insurance woes and they all stopped like right before we went to Denver and COVID hit and shit, and just a month of like holy shit. Yeah, cuz there was something like the Wellbutrin, like I don't even know if I feel it. It's like when it's
Yeah,
not there anymore, I'm like I don't think I need to take this or
yeah,
whatever. But there's other ones that yeah, I definitely I feel an immediate um disassociation in a way, and I'm worried that it's
Yeah.
become so ingrained now that, but
Well,
I've been really good, since changing doctors and all this. I've X'd out certain meds. I'm on, a small amount compared to the large amount that I used to be on years ago. And
yeah.
I even got bipolar stricken from my health records,
Oh,
which
good.
is like, yeah, that was a big thing because I just, I fit like, there was other things I fit more, and there's things that get cross-diagnosed all the time, mistaken for that, and
Oh, yeah.
those meds really fucked me up. The bipolar
Yeah.
meds and whatnot. So
Yes,
yeah,
I come across this in my job all the time, of course, as a mental health worker.
right.
Diagnosis stick, and then you're judged by that diagnosis, and people treat you accordingly.
Yeah, and that is to say that after reviewing with multiple physicians and different head shrinks and stuff, like I was able to strike it because I had a more appropriate diagnosis that I've been experimenting with, that maybe that's the case, because the bipolar meds were just not, and it wasn't, I wasn't having manic episodes, like I didn't have mania, or not in the sense that, I
Well,
would need those heavy medications for.
creativity is kind of a form of mania, I think.
Right, but never have they
Yeah.
been intertwined with like delusions of grandeur, or,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a whole, I always knew that, because I would get diagnosed that from one doctor, and then I'd see another one, they'd be like, oh, they often misdiagnose that for, spectrum ASD, and then like it was going back and forth, and then finally, like, through testing in the past year or so and doing all this stuff, was like, okay, cool, so I'm just, spectrum ASD. Like, it's not that extreme as far as, the polarity concerns, you know. And because, like, I really, really felt those bipolar meds, like they really
Yeah.
sunk me down,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I didn't have the mania to like fight it or
Yeah.
neutralize,
Yeah,
So
exactly. So you were just
yeah,
zombified.
yeah, yeah. Or just like, I always felt just disgusting, or like I always felt writhing in my skin, like it just, yeah, it was bad, you
Sounds
know.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, as Renee say, sister was told bipolar, but now borderline personality. Oh, interesting. I guess that could be, yeah. I'm sure that's confused too. Luckily, I don't think I mean, I wouldn't say luckily. They're all pretty annoying to have. You know? Every one of these mental disfluencies is no like walk in the park, but
Absolutely not.
borderline is one that I'm not too familiar with, but I could see in retrospect folks that what I know now of it, I would diagnose that, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
I'm not a physician. I don't diagnose or anything. I just have my own experience of going through this wretched system too late in the game, not getting the help I needed until it was far too late, and damage was already kind of done. So what do I know?
What do any of us know, Keats?
Yeah, but yeah. So I thought you had like a large chunk of time off.
I had a week off. Was it last week or was it the week before? Yeah, so I did absolutely very little.
Yeah.
Slept, ate, spent some time with my lovely new partner Claire. Well, she's not
Yeah,
that new.
how's Claire doing?
She's doing very well, very well. So we met in
Still have yet?
January, so we're still in the honeymoon period, I think.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So that's bound to come crashing down sooner or later.
Well, my toast to you, sir, is may that honeymoon last until one of you croaks.
Thank you very much. I was out trimming a hedge on Sunday in the pouring rain to impress our father, who is somewhat daunting.
Oh yeah, she's got a stern daddy, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll keep you on your toes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I've met the parents and all that stuff.
Nice. Oh wow. So yeah, it's how did you two meet?
I actually, it was weird. I'd mushrooms come into it, of course.
Oh yeah, it was that trip you were on,
Yeah, yeah.
literally and figuratively. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I went to the temple, shall we say, and did. I think that one was for the winter solstice, and I'd
I
seen
can
this.
agree with that.
I'd seen this girl's woman profile, and she's got very bright red hair and very piercing. They're actually grey eyes, but they look green a lot of the time. So just this, and funnily enough, I was reading an old piece of writing when I'm talking about meeting a bright red hair, green eyed girl, and I was. So I'd seen her on the trip, and I just sent her a private message on Facebook saying, "Hi, we have a couple of mutual friends. You fancy going out for a drink?" And she said, "Well, I wouldn't normally, since you're a complete stranger, but since we have mutual friends, yeah, why not?" We've been together since.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to take a chance on love.
Oh, for sure. I love how just kind of organic that played out too.
Rather than
Yeah.
the dating site thing. I mean, it's still an internet connection, but it felt a lot more organic than
Yeah, and nothing
that.
against the dating site thing. I just mean like how it was, yeah, it seemed like the machinations of a good story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Mary just got home from a trip and she's under the weather. Sinuses get
Oh,
her. You
I
know.
wish her a speedy recovery from me.
Will do. Yeah, and I've got to I got to get back on the horse tomorrow, but I have a plan. Tomorrow I started, so tomorrow probably Thursday is when it's going to come out, but I have the podcast with a bunch of different stuff. So I've kind of changed Prag Magic, the audio podcast, into this kind of radio hour, kind of
Okay,
variety hour thing. So it's
cool.
less of the just one-on-one chats. It's got all sorts of stuff, and
Yeah, like a
I'm gonna
variety
have
show.
yeah, and I'm gonna have a large chunk of it be Bobby hailing my initial conversation, not with the spirit box reading in it, because I just, as like a purveyor of sound arts, I don't think that would be very entertaining to listen to without seeing it.
Yeah, true. We tried one as well, and it's very difficult because he can't hear the questions, and it was like I'll put my hand up when I'm asking a question, and
Mhm.
it was chaotic and fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I looked today and was like, oh, we had a good hour chat, and I was like, that's perfect because the next big movements publicly are very LPA involved and heavy, and so I was like, that's a great introductory thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for all that. It's been really inspirational, and
Oh,
it's
absolutely. It's really re-energized me
yeah,
magically because I was running out of steam there. I rarely, you really don't have to be doing rituals all the time if you have put a few years into it, I don't think, because
right.
every time I do a ritual, I think you mentioned earlier, it has these unexpected consequences, which can
Hmm.
be extremely chaotic and sometimes negative.
Yeah,
I've
or
said it a million times.
negative at the time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because your whole
yeah.
life kind of drops and then has to rearrange itself in a higher form. So it's a
But
funny old thing, magic.
yeah, I agree with you though. As the more you do it, the more it ingrains into your life. You start living a talismanic life. It starts
Exactly.
becoming
You,
a part.
yeah.
You
So
know.
you're thinking
Hmm.
magically all the time, so you don't really
Yeah.
have to put so much effort into it nowadays.
Yeah. You just need the total pomp and circumstance every once in a while. At that point,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
the robes and erotic asphyxiation and all that stuff.
Don't give away our secrets, Keats.
Well,
Yeah,
it's so good to talk to you. I hope you have a good day at work. I've got a
yeah,
couple hours of
absolutely.
sleep ahead of me.
Yep, I better get into my shower. I just want to say, blatantly using your stream to advertise my own stuff, but I think when Justin and I are jamming on Thursday. We're going to have a little interview with ourselves about music.
Cool.
Justin isn't that into the occult. I mean, he gets it, but he's not practicing. So we'll just be talking about musical influences, what we're trying to do with the band, and etc. So try and tune in for that, folks.
Heck yeah, I will be there.
Okay.
And then yeah, let me see. Spirit Descends. If you can put your here, I can do it.
I think if you just search The Spirit Descends, it pops up fairly easily.
Go to channel. There we go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out so late. We are
Always a
literally
pleasure.
on polar opposites of the day.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. I've been up pretty much all night. I couldn't sleep very well last night, so I've just been tinkering.
Yeah, that happens to me. I am going to try to play our track again because I think
Ooh.
I figured out what I did. It's share screen, but when you do a window, oh wait, it doesn't have the option. There it is, share system audio. Booyah.
Okay. Well,
All right.
I will listen to it on my headphones, and it's a brilliant. I love it. I think it's better than the first version. And I was still doing Rise as the other one.
Yep, Rise is the third one. And then
Can't wait to hear that, man.
yeah, me too. That one's gonna prove to be far more easier than this one because I really just, that the music that I recorded that you put vocals on for Honquinox, that was like I didn't mix or really master that much at all. And so today I really dove in and I can get a little crazy with the cheese whiz.
Sounds fantastic. Okay, Keats, thank you for having me on. Sorry about the technical issues.
Oh, it's all good. I'm not worried about it. I appreciate you being here.
All right, Keats, brother. See you soon, man.
Have a good one, Stevie.
Peace to everyone in chat. Philip, Blair, Renee. I haven't got my glasses on. All you guys, I love you.
All the people.
All the people.
All the people. So many people. All right.
Bit of Britpop. Okay, cheers, Keats. Have a lovely evening, America.
Yeah. Have a lovely day, Scotland.
Thank you.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, still a little bit muffly and weird.
Foul black air and smoldering cities. Another terrible century
Can you hear
begins.
Yep.
Shuddering.
Cool. I think we figured it out. I'm going to start it from the beginning now. Oh, and thank you, everyone. This is me and Stevie's Dream Boys of the New Apocalypse. Please check out all the stuff, and the things. And, be excellent to each other. Party on and haunt on.
Foul black air and smoldering cities. Another terrible century begins. Shuddering down through spirals of time, warlords and goose-stepping soldiers march in rank and line. Plague, war, and rumors of war. Europe in flames, black rats, Vikings. Fever ships and ghost galleons, dock crews of poisoned men. The horror of history, the apocalypse is at hand. Foaming foul-mouthed flagellants, the holy man, burning coals for eyes. God will not desert us. Repent, and ye shall never die. The bow strung tight, the flaming arrow of Christ. St. Anthony's fire, blackened limbs, ecstatic visions. They feverishly twitch and dance. The apocalypse is at hand. Far away upon the ragged sea, safe in humble quarters, The children of older gods accompany me. We sail for new lands in the west, the country where the sun is set to rest. Fast asleep on the black ship, cuffing the water like an evil prehistoric shark.
When we are doing the will of our true self, we are inevitably doing the will of the universe. In magic, these are seen as indistinguishable. That every human soul is in fact one human soul. It is the soul of the universe itself, and as long as you are doing the will of the universe, then it is impossible to do anything wrong.